Hi everyone, my name is Nick, and today we're gonna go over how to create a bottom navigation bar in Flutter. I hope you like it. This is our first video, so please consider liking and subscribing. So I've separated here an empty file with just a stateless widget called home that is already called in my main.dart. The first thing that we're gonna do is add a bottom navigation bar. To do that, just add that to the scaffold and call it whatever you want. I'm calling here bottom navigation bar 1. So then I'm going to go ahead and create a stateless widget with that. So this bottom navigation bar, I'm planning to do a gradient one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a decoration to the container. By typing decoration property and then going for box decoration, we're going to be able to select a gradient there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this amazing extension called FlutterBricks, where I can actually browse through tons of widgets and tons of screens and colorful gradients as well. I'm going to select here, and you can see there's tons of gradients, and I'm going to go for the indigo to purple one. So I'm just going to copy the code inline and just paste it on my gradient of the box decoration. Done. You can also explore screens in the extension, and there's tons of pre-built screens, so you can just copy paste and have that ready on your app. Awesome. Let's hit save, and as you can see right now, we have the whole screen as a gradient. And that's because we didn't set any height to the container or to anything. So we're going to go and we're going to add a child called sizebox with a height of 56. This is just going to represent the height of our bottom app bar, and we're following the material guidelines for here. Let's wrap the sizebox with a bottom app bar. And also let's set the elevation of the bottom app bar to 0, so there's no shadow. Perfect. When we hit save, as you can see, the screen is all white because the bottom app bar actually has a color of white. So let's just set as a transparent so we can see the container behind it. And boom, perfectly. Now we have a gradient bar showing up on the bottom of the screen. Awesome. Let's add a child here. This child is just going to be a padding, and this padding is just to prevent the icons from touching the borders. Let's set it to 25 on each sides, right and left. Perfect. Let's add a child row with children. Awesome. So let's set the main axis of alignment of the row to center. So all the icons are center at first, and then we're going to change that later. Here in children, we're going to create another widget that is going to be called whatever you want, but I'm going to call it icon bottom bar here. This icon bottom bar is going to hold the text. So let's say the home. It's also going to hold the icon. So the icon's home. So here I'm just going to set as true, and I'm also going to add an on press so we can change that later. So now let's go to the bottom of the file and create another stateless widget called icon bottom bar. Now let's just add the required fields there, which is going to be the text, the icon, the on press, and the selected. Awesome. When you finish that, just format your code so it looks nicer. Now let's get rid of this container and let's create a column. This column is going to have multiple children, but mainly contained of the icon itself and a text below it. Let's just make sure that the main axis of alignment of the column is set to center, so the icon and the text are centered. And let's add the icon button here. And the icon button is going to hold the icon itself, and it's going to hold, it's what's going to call the onPress function, so we can detect if the user actually pressed that icon. So let's just pass the parameters there. For the icon, I'm just going to set as a normal icon widget with a size of 25, passing in the icon data. And for the color, as you can see, I'm doing, if it's selected, I'm going to have a color of white. But if it's not selected, I'm just going to have a color of gray. Right now in the footage, I'm going to actually be putting the color purple. But after that, I'm just going to fix it and have it as a gray, because that's when the widget is not being selected. We want to display gray, not purple. Otherwise, it's going to interfere with our background. Just a minor mistake, just to keep in mind. Cool. After that, let's just bring the text down after the icon button. Let's just input the text, have a style with a font size of 12. And also let's set the height to 0.1, so it's very close to the icon button. And let's set the color with the same thing as the icon, so we can just copy that. So I'm just gonna say if it's selected, it's gonna be a color white, otherwise it's gonna be a color gray. Perfect. Now as you can see, we already have the icon there in the middle as home, as we had previously, and it's ready for us to start inserting other actions in the bottom nav bar. So what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to convert the bottom navigation bar to a stateful widget so we can have states and manage the state there. So I'm going to have a variable called selected index, and then we're just going to set that default to 0. On the selected of the icon bottom bar, we want to say that the icon bottom bar is selected if that selected index equals the position of that icon bottom bar, which in this case the home is the first one, so it's going to be 0. And when you press it, we want it to change to the same index as the icon bottom bar, which in this case is 0. So right now I'm just going to copy this 4 more times and just change the selected indexes for each one of them. So now I'm just going to add a search with an icon.search, and now the selected index is going to be 1 because it's going to be right after home. And I'll keep doing that. Awesome. I'm done adding all the 5 icon bottom bars that I selected there. And now if we hit save, as you can see, we can't really see the other icons because I had set previously to purple. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to change the unselected color to be color.gray. That way you can actually see what's going on. Awesome. As you can see, all the icons are in the center right now, but we're going to change that so they are all spaced down evenly apart. So let's just go to the row there and change it to space between. So they're all now even spaces between them. And as you can see, if you click on them, it's selectable and it's going to show up as a white icon bottom bar selected. And perfect. You're basically done at this point. So now I'm going to show you how you can actually change the screens when you select a different icon on the bottom. And to do that, I'm going to simplify myself and I'm going to copy all the code there's inside the bottom navigation bar 1 widget. And I'm going to paste it all the way on the home widget there just so I can simplify state for you and we don't have to keep passing functions and attributes. All right, perfect. So now let's just also copy the selected index and let's just throw it on the top. And now we have it working again. It's just not very modularized, but that's fine. So if you want to change screens, what you can do is you can create an array of screens. And there I'm just going to type in container and actually center and a text so we can see that we're changing screens. And I'm going to do that for all 5 of them. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to the body of my scaffold and I'm going to type in the screen array and I'm going to type in the selected index, which is the index that we have selected on the bottom bar. So we're going to be able to display the screens dynamically when we select the buttons. So as you can see, if I press on the add card screen, all the numbers there change based on the screen position. And there you go. You can just replace all those center text widgets to your screens and you're going to have a great time building amazing apps. Well, thank you so much. I hope you liked our first video. Please consider liking and subscribing for more content like this. Also, leave a comment to what you want to see next. We're going to be reading all the comments and we're really excited to bring amazing content for you. Thank you so much. Have a great week.